I'm Stephen Albrecht, and I'm a candidate for graduation at Boise State University, where I've been studying for a master's degree in educational technology. I started the program in the summer of 2010, and in just a few months, I'll graduate in May of 2012. Welcome to my EdTech portfolio. Here, you'll find examples of my work linked to AECT standards, as well as a rationale paper. After completing a term of enlistment in the Air Force, I enrolled at the University of Connecticut, where I earned a BA and an MA, both in English. I've been working as an English teacher at Westbrook High School since 1997. Westbrook, with just 300 students in grades 9 through 12, is one of the smallest public high schools in the state of Connecticut. While my school is small, I've been fortunate when it comes to technology. When I began teaching, a chalkboard was at the center of my classroom. Today, I use an interactive whiteboard, and I share a laptop cart with a few other members of my department. The work I've done at BSU has changed my classroom in many ways, and it has opened up doors to new responsibilities. Let me explain and show you a few examples.
The 1920s jigsaw I created for EdTech 502 was one of the first products for which I felt real pride. I had come a long way with my learning HTML. I had learned how to create a style sheet, incorporate a banner, and format a table. The assignment also introduced me to Cooler, an online color selection tool that helped me develop an attractive color scheme based on the image I had chosen for the banner. The jigsaw asks students to explore pre-selected resources and to teach one another about aspects of life in the 1920s, including flappers, jazz, prohibition, cars, and organized crime. This kind of assignment engages students in collaborative learning and creates a context for reading The Great Gatsby. As students are generating their own learning, this kind of activity is grounded in a learning theory called social constructivism. Additionally, this jigsaw promotes higher-order thinking by asking students to complete analogies that draw connections between their topic and some aspect of life today. For instance, students answer the question jazz was to the 1920s as what is to today, and they explain why. When I have asked my students to complete this jigsaw, they find similarities between the way jazz, for instance, was regarded and the way some people respond to rap or to metal today. Or they draw parallels between prohibition and today's drinking age or drug laws.
Imagine it's an early October day. The leaves are still green, but there's a crispness in the air that says fall is coming. You're walking home from school, following the same steps you always do. You pass the church and follow the sidewalk up the hill. You usually hurry past the old, empty house, but today is different. Stop a minute and look around. Why is it?
I am also proud of the digital story I created for EdTech 513. As an English teacher, I have long wanted to introduce digital storytelling to my students as part of learning new literacies. However, I lacked the technical skills that would allow me to model digital storytelling and to coach students through the process. After learning about multimedia theory and personalization, after learning to edit images and sound, I took the opportunity to create a digital story that would invite students to begin their own storytelling. While my students study Gothic literature in the fall, I ask them to demonstrate their familiarity with the conventions of the genre by writing a Gothic story of their own. My digital story is intended to spark students' thinking, using images, sound, and narration to take them on a tour of an abandoned house. They tell me it's intense. To create this story, I took photographs at a nearby forgotten house and at a former resort. I edited those images in Photoshop, recorded my narration in Audacity, and compiled the digital story in Picasa. Although I did introduce my digital story to students last fall, I still asked them to produce a paper story, a conventional or traditional one. It's next year that I hope to have the software available to students and the time in class to have them actually producing a digital story rather than a traditional paper one. Beyond bringing my BSU assignments to my students, my coursework has affected my teaching in additional ways. While studying instructional design, I completed a project that centered on introducing Google Docs to my students. I had, after all, often used Google Docs to complete some of my BSU assignments, and I appreciated being able to share my writing with my classmates and getting feedback from them before submitting my work for a grade. Today, nearly all of my students' writing is done on Google Docs. It provides online storage, reduces paper and printing costs, and it allows students to get feedback from others as they draft and revise. BSU also required I maintain a blog, which served as a learning log. I wrote posts, shared them with my professors and my classmates, and I even used it to publish some class assignments. Given the power of the blog to facilitate ongoing discussion and the sharing of work, I introduced a class blog to my students this year. In it, they have shared resources for research and posted potential thesis statements and requested feedback. To manage the blog, I realized I could make each student's first name a category for easy sorting and grading. Several of my classes required I complete a needs assessment as part of an evaluation or as a necessary step in designing instruction. EdTech 505, for instance, taught me the importance of collecting data through observations, interviews, and surveys. Other classes, such as EdTech 501 and EdTech 554, asked me to reflect on my district's technology use plan. Together, these experiences have prepared me to accept a new responsibility, that of chairing my district's technology planning committee, which I was asked to do in January of this year. Once a state template was made available, we began meeting to write a new 3-year plan, which we will submit to the state later this spring. While my BSU coursework has helped me to develop a vision for technology integration, having practiced data collection techniques has proven invaluable as the Technology Committee and I work to identify the level of technology integration and teacher technology proficiencies across the district. Given that I had already prepared a survey for this kind of purpose in EdTech 501, I was especially grateful to expand that survey to include questions for administrators and support staff. Additionally, I included additional specificity so that the committee could really pinpoint the kinds of strengths and needs that we'll find in our teachers and our classrooms. While all of the district data is not yet in, that which we have received shows clear patterns of strengths and needs around which we can make recommendations for support and professional development in the upcoming school years.